Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started now. So welcome everyone to the District Committees panel. This is being hosted by the 2019 and 2020 chairs. So first we're gonna go with introductions. So first off is going to be Erica.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Erica. I'm a current fourth year at UC San Diego, and I was a past CNM chair. I don't know what major. So my major is international business. The past committees I've been on for the 2017-2018 term, I was on FIFUN, and the following year I was both on MB&E and on CNM, and then this past term I was the CNM chair. A fun fact about me is I literally live and breathe Disney. One of my life goals is to go to all 6 parks. I've gone to 4 so far, so I have 2 more. And then if I were to be on another committee that I haven't been on already, it'd be FTC.
Hello, everyone. My name's Nora, and I was the district convention chair. I go to UC Davis, and I'm currently a 4th year sustainable agriculture and food systems major. The past committees I've been on was decon for the 2018-2019 term. And fun fact, I've killed every plant that I've ever owned. And if I were to be on another committee, I would be on the MR committee.
Hi everyone, my name is Olivia, and I currently served as the past fall training conference chair, and I currently go to Cal State Long Beach. I'm a 4th year graphic design major, and my past committees were, I was on FTC committee like twice before I was chair. And then fun fact, my theme song is All Star by Smash Mouth. And if I were to be on another committee, I chose CNM.
Hello, I was the Kiwanis Foundations chair. I go to Sacramento State in a 5th year. My major is computer science, and I was on DKFF last year too. Hello guys. So for my fun fact is I'm a really big weeb, so I picked up Japanese just from watching too much anime. So if I were to be on another committee, it would be FTC.
Hello, my name is Bruce. I previously served as your member recognition chair. I am from Cal State Fullerton as a 5th year communications major in concentration in entertainment and tourism. Past committees that I've been on is just MR the previous term. Fun fact, I do plan to visit North Korea before I hit my 30s. And I put it in parentheses, not by accident, through paragliding. If you know, you know. And if I were to be on another committee, it would be Decon committee.
Hi everyone, my name is Braden. I'm a 4th year astrophysics major at UCLA, and I had the pleasure of bringing everyone the tea as your immediate past membership development education chair. So for past committee experience, for the 2017-2018 term, I actually was on the CNM committee, and then right after that, on the following year, I was on Decon committee. One fun fact about me is that I really like mentaiko udon and mentaiko musubi so much that I always get those whenever I go to Marugame. And if I were to be on another committee, I would be on FTC.
Hello, I'm Chris. I'm a 3rd year at UCLA, computer science and engineering major and linguistics other major. In the past, I've been on tech committee. And fun fact, I visited Hong Kong and Taipei once in middle school, but I didn't really get to because I got sick. And I also chose FTC for a 2nd committee.
So next we're going to go into a very quick overview of each committee. So first off, we're going to go in alphabetical order with CB&R.
Okay, so CB&R is Club Building and Revitalization. And in this past year, Josh Nepomuceno was the chair for this, but he's not here right now, so I'm gonna give a little overview of what it is. And basically this is a new committee So this will be like its second year running. And basically they help create new and effective resources tailored to chartering clubs. So it's a lot of like working with lieutenant governors to help clubs, to help give clubs like resources on chartering and rechartering. And they also compile data to provide strategic club building plans. And they're also like helping like create like foundation for struggling and at-risk clubs. Because definitely like our membership has been going down. So this committee is there to help just build a foundation for our district. Yeah.
All right, next up we have is CNM, or Communications and Marketing. So this is the committee I had for the past 2 terms. So basically the CNM committee, we help maintain the district's online presence on all platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, as well as publications like the Sunspot and the Sunburst, as well as any of the YouTube videos you see on our YouTube page. We also work to emphasize the utilization of the district style guide and graphic standards. So if you're having myself or anyone on my committee tell you about mastheads or using the right logos, that's CNM.
Hi, so the District Convention Committee is in charge of the execution of District Convention, which is held at the end of each term, so in March. So there's a bunch of different positions. So there's some that are more creative in terms of creating graphics, videos, etc. And then some that are more logistical, like planning workshops or the talent show or the honors reception. And then the committee also makes sure to publicize and update officers in regards to event deadlines and registration guides, and make sure all of that information is transparent.
Yeah, so Fall Training Conference, or FTC. So this is basically like similar to Decon Committee. This is also an event planning committee. So I just wanted to plug FTC because, as you probably heard, a lot of the chairs said that that was one of the committees that they wish they were on. But also it's a really fun committee. It's probably like FTC and Decon are probably like the biggest committees out of all our district committees that we have. With this past year, FTC committee had, I think, 16 or 17 members. But definitely this is also just, everything is basically FTC. This is very like fall heavy. So if you know that maybe you have more classes in the fall, I probably would not recommend FTC. Because basically all of your work is from when you get appointed to around like November or December. And basically you would be working on, same as Decon, it's either like creative or logistics side. So we have graphics, program, media, team activities, campfire, workshops, and yeah, event planning. I think this was Erica.
Shoot, sorry. Okay, so FIFUN, also known as Finance and Fundraising. So this is the committee that's going to be under the district treasurer. So basically, they're in charge of executing a lot of the major district fundraisers. For example, Crazy Comp for Infants, North and South is their main event. Also, if you've been to FTC, they are also in charge of Penny Wars, as well as any fundraisers happening at DSOSP, STC, as well as Decon. They also help assist and educate clubs about finances, as well as the DFIs, or District Fundraising Initiative. So that's the Kiwanis Family House, PTP, as well as the third one, the past term was Trevor Project. So that changes every term. And yeah.
So with Kiwanis Family Foundation, basically what our role is to help facilitate the different relationships between the Kiwanis branches. Basically what you guys will be working on are the resources that we have available on our CNH website and providing that to the Kiwanis family chairs and representatives. And another great thing about Kiwanis family is not only do you get to work with like the committee, but also with different and like really great individuals like the Kiwanis family chairs and representatives. That was like one of my highlights of working with this committee and being in this role. Another thing that you'll also be doing is working with the other branches. So like this year was the first year where we had a big event, a larger scale event with like both working together with Circle K, Key Club, and Kiwanis. So hopefully that continues on next year, and it happens in like multiple areas in CNH as well.
So next is going to be the Laws and Regulation Committee, or LNR. They're responsible for reviewing official district documents. So that includes like the SURF, the Club Event Report Form, the MRF Monthly Report Form, the district operating procedures and bylaws and such. They also ensure that the club or clubs are educated on bylaws, the elections procedure, as well as other documents. And then next is going to be the Member Recognition Committee, or MR. So the MR committee is responsible for keeping district awards up to date and relevant, and also encouraging clubs to apply every single year, and also assisting clubs and divisions on establishing, maintaining, and revamping their recognition programs.
Okay, hi everyone. So the Membership Development and Education Committee is in charge of developing and publishing successful resources that are intended for the district. So that does include a large variety of topics ranging from tabling to icebreakers to even super cool things like family systems and mentorship. And just in general, we do encourage, as is in name, encourage MD&E for all clubs. And we do this in a variety of ways also to connect the district with things like the district Sunny Buddies Pen Pal program, and also the Alumni/Kiwanian Mentorship Program. And even though these programs are somewhat new for MD&E and are still being developed, they're definitely something super cool that's definitely helping to establish a bigger MD&E following within the district.
For the service committee, what they do is they encourage impactful service and promoting service opportunities to clubs, and usually they have a district large-scale service project. So that's also something that you'd be working on, which is basically related to the DSI, which may change this year, but regardless, service is like what we're all about. So, you know, like it's a really great opportunity to basically like meet people who also feel very passionate about service as well. Oh, actually, they also have they have resources online as well. One of the big ones that they have that not a lot of people know about is the service database. So if you need ideas for service, they have a lot of ideas that are on there that you guys might be interested on, including like a lot of tabletops that you might even be able to do at home and have through a webinar, or not webinar, but like video conference.
So the technology committee is still a pretty young committee. It's only been in existence for like 2 years. So the position of tech chair evolved from focusing on the district website to more managing like innovative technologies in the district. Mainly it's like a learning experience for everyone on the committee, and just to try new things and see what we can do to help the district. It's not just coding, as a lot of people seem to believe. There's like a lot of opportunities for everyone. For example, a new one last year was the UI UX position, which isn't just graphic design. UI UX is like a field of increasing demand in every private industry, and it involves like layout and user experience stuff. So definitely, if you are looking to expand your skill set and are interested in helping the district in innovative ways, then apply for the technology committee.
So next, we're going to be going on to tips for applying for district committees. So the first one is I would highly recommend that you attend office hours. Most of the time, like in case you haven't attended office hours in the past, chairs tend to not really get that many people who attend anyways. Usually it's just like, you know, the district board that keeps them company until someone finally comes in to ask a question. So this is actually a really great opportunity for you to do so. It's kind of like how your college professors too are like just waiting for you to come. Next is going to be introducing yourselves to the chairs. It does help a lot more when you have like some kind of like name recognition to the chair rather than waiting for them to see your name mentioned on an application, because if all you do is apply on the application and they've never like heard of you, it kind of does give you a disadvantage than if you have like some kind of prior communication with them, especially like expressing interest earlier on. Next is going to be reaching out to past committee members, especially if you have a particular position in mind. You know, like each committee every single year, they may have worked differently. So it may give you like some inspiration on what you want to do, or just, you know, give you additional insight on what exactly they do. Next is it would be in your best interest to work on your app or apps early to get feedback. This definitely does help getting feedback as much as possible. This can go back to like getting feedback from past committee members, or even if you really want to ask the current chair for feedback, definitely ask them if they're willing to do so. But yeah, just trying to present yourself in the best way possible. And then lastly, references are important. So I guess like a very big recommendation is don't just pick people as a reference who you think is like very, for lack of a better word, like high up there in Circle K, but rather really emphasize or list down the people who have worked with you professionally and also know you personally, because they're the ones who really know what you're like personally and can attest to that, but also know what your work ethics are like. Also, it does definitely help to have kind of like a variety of references, but at the same time, that's not as important as people who know exactly how you work. And then something else as well to keep in mind would just, I guess like, yeah, it really goes back to variety. And yeah. So next we're gonna go into Q&A for the main bulk of this workshop. So just feel free to type whatever questions you may have in chat, and then we'll try our best to answer your questions. And then feel free to like specify to any one of our panelists as well if you want to go specific into a committee or just, yeah. So our first question is, what would you say is the time commitment for being on a district committee? Does anyone want to answer that?
I can answer that a little bit, but I think that kind of depends on the committee, because each committee has like different time commitments. So that would kind of depend, but that's one thing that you should ask your chair. So like a lot of times my applicants would ask me like what the time commitment is, and then usually the chair should have the answer for you. It also kind of depends on like what they have planned for you and for their committee.
Yeah, I think going off of that, like different committees have different timelines, I would say. So like some committees have times where they're more busy than others. For example, FTC, like the fall is really busy, and then the spring you're basically retired, but it's not like explicitly said. And then for decon, like they're probably like more chilling over the summer, and a bulk of their work is more in the spring when decon's coming closer. As well with MR, they're busy at like different times of the year. So like FTC awards and then decon awards, FI-Fun, like the same thing. I think like CNM and MD&E, they're more like spread out, but smaller like tasks throughout the year.
Also, that like time commitment can vary between positions in the same committee too. So like, because like, especially Decon and FTC have such like diversity in their positions, like you really should think about what positions you're interested in and then look at the time commitment for those, because that can vary a lot.
Okay, we're going to go to the next question, which is if we can go into what kind of positions someone may have in CB&R, club building, revitalization, and membership development and education. So I guess this is more so towards Braden.
Hi. Yeah, so I can't necessarily fulfill this question all the way because it is up to the discretion of the new appointed board to decide what positions they would like. But I'm assuming that a lot of the positions they will have will be the same as I had on my committee, which would be, you know, an executive assistant, a creative director, resources coordinators, and a professional development coordinator. And so along with a webinars coordinator. So I will try to be a little more in depth, but basically all of the duties that are in MD&E are spread out among these positions. So besides executive assistant taking care of the committee, executive assistant is also the one that helps spearhead the district Sunny Buddies Pen Pals program. The resources coordinators are the ones that are primarily responsible for making the resources and manuals that will be output by the committee. Those are the bulk of the work, but of course those ones aren't necessarily super time committing because we do, for my term, I did allow for about a month to get a good amount of detail work done for the manuals, but we were able to still get a lot of content put out overall throughout the term. The creative director was in charge of making graphics, especially for the manuals. And so that was also adhering to those 1 month deadlines in order to get those manuals out on a good time. And then we also had the professional development coordinator, which helped more with designing professional development resources, which are definitely newer. They haven't been super developed in past MD&E, and they're also in charge of the alumni/Kiwanis mentorship program. And of course, we also have the lovely webinars coordinator, which helps spearhead member-hosted webinars especially, but also just in general facilitates the district-wide webinars that you've been seeing throughout the term.
Yeah, so going off of that, for club building and revitalization, the positions this past year were executive assistant, northern regional specialist, and southern specialist, as well as there's another position added, which was regional specialist at large / revitalization lead. So as Braden was saying, it really depends on what this new chair plans with their position, because it's definitely like a new committee. So it's really like up to their own creative like discretion. But for CB&R, it was organized in a way that was more like region, as you could tell. And also this past year, they wanted to focus more on the revitalization side.
Lastly, to kind of add another something to mention about it is really to have a better understanding of what positions are being offered would definitely help to just read the description on all the apps when they're released. Okay, so for the next question, it's going to be, if I am out of state and usually go home during breaks, will this affect my ability to be on a committee and get a full experience out of it?
I can take this one. So when I was on MD&E and CNM 2 terms ago, I was actually out of the country for an entire semester. So I was like, I basically missed the entire fall. So that's from August all the way through December till like the 28th of December. So I don't think it should affect your abilities whatsoever. A lot of like the committee work and district committees in general operate online based. So like through online meetings and doing your work on your own. So you should be fine. Just remember that for both Decon and for FTC, they do have in-person meetings that you do really need to attend because it is a larger event planning kind of experience. But I don't think you should have any problems. This past term, I had a committee member who went to London from January to when COVID-19 happened, and he didn't have any problems doing any of his committee work either.
I also think that communication is also really important too. Like Erica, except I wasn't abroad, but I did have an internship in Texas, so I was gone for like 3 months. And then I also had 2 committee members who were abroad during winter. So I think really communication matters a lot. So like when you're doing your application, make sure you like definitely put that, so that way they actually do appreciate the openness, and then they'll be able to take that into account when giving you your task.
So for this past term, I think it was like the day after the district committee announcement was released, I ended up going to Europe for an entire month. And like, although like I wasn't able to communicate with my committee like that often just because of the time gap, I think the one thing that's like super relieving about most district committees is that like a lot of the work isn't like your club activities, which is practically on the daily. I guess like the best word to really describe district committee work would be like a lot of burst work, where there are moments when you're like really busy, but then there are also moments when you're actually pretty free. I might probably can't necessarily say the same thing about FTC, since like you're really rushing. It's like a crash course committee, since practically you're done by the once November hits. But yeah. Okay. If there isn't another question, a very common question would be, what if I want to apply to multiple committees? Should I do that?
I could answer this. I was on 2 committees and I was studying abroad at the same time. You really have to think about how you're using your time and what other positions you may have. Stop, sorry. So you have to, like when I did 2 committees, I didn't have a lot of academic responsibilities because I took less classes when I was studying abroad. I also didn't have a job, and I didn't have any other extracurriculars or any other student org I was a part of. It was just Circle K plus my host university. So at that time, that was perfectly fine to do. But for those of you who are like officers, especially like A board or E board, that's something you have to think about when it comes to doing multiple district committees. I personally wouldn't recommend it because then you start to really prioritizing where you dedicate your time. And if anyone else wants to add to that.
I would just like to add, you can apply for multiple committees and you don't necessarily have to do multiple committees if you do that, because sometimes it is worth it to apply for multiple and just see what happens. Because when I served on decon committee, I actually applied for another committee as well. And then I was like, do I want to do 2? But I got offered 1. And so I decided to choose to take that. But you can also, if you get offers for multiple, you can choose which one you would prefer. But it is good to like note on your application, like, this is my preference for what committees I would want to do, just so that you're very transparent with the chairs, because it can make it difficult when they're appointing committees if they want to appoint you and then you like reject them. That sounds weird, but like, just be transparent about what your intentions are when you're applying.
Yeah, so going off of that, like on the applications, it will ask you like what your priorities are. For like, district committees, like you can choose up to 3. But definitely if you choose like more than 3, it kind of just seems like you're not invested in like, one committee. It just seems like you just want that leadership position. So like, I also think about that as well. So I'm currently like club president. So I actually like also told my board like this morning to come to this committee like panel, but also like I want them to know that I wasn't against it if like anyone did apply. I just wanted them to consider their workload and if they are able to balance school, club, and district, because in the end you don't want to burn out and you don't want to take on like too much. So definitely that's something to think about when you're applying.
As mentioned, it would also really help to mention that what your priorities are during the interview. Just that way, the chairs who are interviewing you have like a mental note, and just like I'm pretty sure like a bunch of us probably remember pretty well, but we did like talk to each other pretty often on like, hey, this person applied to your committee and my committee, and also maybe like a third committee as well. So how do we want to like go about appointing them? Because we're also, as chairs, we're considering like their potential workload, not like in terms of their club or even division to district, but just from one district committee to another district committee. At the same time, like just like I think it was Erica that mentioned, like if you think that you can handle the workload, it is possible. There hasn't been that many people who have served on multiple committees during a term, but it's also not impossible to do, especially if you can really show that you have the work ethics, that you have the time, that you have good time management skills. So yeah, especially like if you look at this past appointments, you could probably see maybe like 3 or 4 individuals who've served on 2 or more committees.
I think the same can also be said with like A board positions and committee as well. Like on my committee, we had a few people that were both Kiwanis family chairs as well as being on committee. Because sometimes it does kind of like work well because we also work with the Kiwanis family chairs and representatives. They can like talk to those with and have like a closer bond with those in their division, because then they can also be on that same level of being able to relate with them. I think the same can probably be said with like FI-Fund and fundraising chair and stuff like that too. Oh, and service and like service chair. Oh, we also have another question. They weren't able to type on Zoom, so the question is, what advice do you all have for what kind of committees we should apply for? Like which qualities / experience would fit each committee best? I'll type in the chat too.
I definitely think it depends on what you're passionate about, because I can't tell you what committee to apply for. I mean, I plug FTC because I was on FTC, but definitely I feel like it depends on you and what like you wanted, like you're passionate about in Circle K. If you like recognition, then MR. If you like event planning, you could do FTC, Decon, but there's also FI-Fund. They do CKI South, North. Servers, they do DLSSP. So it really depends if you want more like position-based, I guess. So like CNM, if you like, you know, graphics, videography, stuff like that. I think it really depends. I know people who did MD&E because they really want to provide resources for the district and really like, you know, teach our district and really build our membership.
To go off of that, there's also like you have to think about what kind of experience you want to get out of your term. And you can think about some committees are usually smaller, some committees are larger. Which one do you think would work best with you? And then also some people do use their committees as resume builders. So if you're interested in CNM or technology type things, you can apply for those committees, or you can also do those functions as in like making videos, graphics, websites for Decon and FTC as well. So like if you're interested in like getting some professional experience, you can do that through committees as well.
I guess before going to any other questions, I'll also drop in one more thing. Specifically for MD&E, there's definitely a lot of things that go into MD&E, especially it encompasses a lot of things overall on how to develop and educate members along with recruitment and retention. It's that being able to have a leadership position already in Circle K already opens you a lot to how to conduct MD&E, whether that's within your club or even on a DLT, because that's also something that you'll have to discuss anyways in a leadership position. Just want to mention that.
And then to add on to what everyone's already said about CNM, for CNM, I do encourage you have prior skills like in social media, digital marketing, design, videos, etc. But it's also okay for CNM to be your starting point. For example, my past committee, both of my graphic designers actually had zero experience going into the position. Like they made a portfolio for the application for CNM. But once I got them and I trained them for the first 2 months, then they were good to go to do requests and do a lot of graphics for the district. So it just really also depends on the chair too and how they want to run their committee or what they're expecting from their committee members. So definitely reach out to them.
Yeah, I agree with all of that because like people, college students, most people don't have experience with like professional photography or building a mobile app or something like that. So definitely the chairs understand that and don't expect like top candidates to apply for the committees. So you should just apply for anything that you'd be interested in working on. And the whole term, the chair will help you figure stuff out and like learn the stuff you need.
So kind of a question that I will be expecting them to answer themselves is from our current district secretary, Ryan Tan. What can you expect from L&R committee, like time commitment and work projects? So Ryan, would you like to talk about what you'd like to expect?
Wow, thanks for that question. I love it. So hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Tan. I'm the district secretary and also the chair of Laws and Regulation Committee. Honestly, like I think it's a really fun committee. I think that overall, for people that don't necessarily know a lot about Circle K, I think this is a great opportunity to build your own education about it, because really you're learning the foundation of Circle K, which is bylaws and also the district operating procedures. So I think that in terms of making change and also just like, you know, implementing what you think a good foundation is for the district, this is a committee for you. Some other things I'm hoping to implement within this committee is being the elections committee, CNH district convention, while also working towards your own, I guess if you really like grammar and also fixing documents and you're very tedious and also detail oriented, this is a really great opportunity to build upon those strengths. And also if you just want to learn more about what Circle K is and also the origins of the bylaws, I highly recommend applying as well. I personally haven't been on the L&R committee, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. And also just their experience. So yeah, time commitment, yeah, it's like an hour or two probably. Maybe, we'll see.
I guess to like roughly add on to it, just like Chris mentioned about tech being a young committee, I think L&R is also a relatively young committee as well. It was just recently brought back within the past 3 to 4 years. So yeah, there's a lot for the committee to like build off of. So another question is, what are good ways to prepare for interviews from the district chairs? I guess I'll answer first. So it definitely helps to have an idea of like what exactly you envision the committee to be in your own way, as well as how you want to fulfill the position. Something that like I personally like to do is if there's something in particular that I'd rather have the chair ask me to expand on, I'll be vague about it in the application and then hope that the chair notices it and then asks about it. So that's like one way to like, I guess, plant a question on the chair if that's what you're trying to do. But definitely, as mentioned on the tips slide, definitely reach out to like past committee members, and definitely also reach out to the chair. Chairs, they're gonna want to be like the best resource that they can to you. They don't want you to be going into like the application or the interview blindly. So yeah.
I think I was the opposite. I'm a little bit of a nervous type, so I made my application like super elaborate. So then I had one interview where like they were like, "Oh, your thing is like super elaborate. So like I just want to talk to get to know you." So that was one of my interviews. And then it also just depends on the chair as well. And then the another interview I had, they asked more about the platform, and then like if there's like specific position that you're going for, like try to make like know exactly what you want to do for that position, how you envision yourself in that position.
For me, I was literally just as nervous as the people I was interviewing. I was so nervous for my interviews, but honestly, I just wanted to have a conversation with the person and like get to know them and get to know what their interests were. And I tried to treat it less like a stressful interview and more just like a conversation the best I could. But also like I looked for people just acting professionally and like showing that they were taking it seriously, and then also them knowing what they're talking about, like making sure like if someone could prove to me that they had done their research on the position that they were applying for, like I knew they like knew what it entailed, then it kind of made me feel like, oh wow, this person like is actually already dedicated. So I think, yeah, being professional and then just doing your research were two big things for me for interviews.
My biggest advice when you're prepping for any interview, whether it's a job or even district committees, is to know the position like the back of your hand, especially your application. Whatever you put on there, know that the chair is going to be customizing their questions to your application. So whatever you put on there is what they're going to ask you about or elaborate on. So if you had like a goal or some sort of idea that you want to implement in a position, best know that the chair is probably going to ask you questions about it. Other thing is like during your application process, like while you're filling out the app before you get that interview, talk to the chair, talk to past people who are in the position that you want. Let them ask them about their goals, what they wish they could have accomplished, what they did accomplish, how they felt about the committee, etc. Like Nora said, you want to do your research because once you have a full understanding of the position and of the committee, as well as the goals that the chair has, you have a very like high advantage over other applicants because maybe not everyone does that. And it shows the chair that you are prepared and you're ready to take that position.
Something really quick that I do want to mention, not every chair does it, but I like to do it in my own interviews, is to ask a curveball question. You know, something as basic as like, you know, if you were to have any superpower, what would it be? You know, just kind of questions like that. That does help to kind of like brighten up, you know, the interview, just in case things do get a little like too tense and stuff like that. Or like what Erica mentioned, I think that is what she asked for CNM interviews. What font?
I literally asked that, yeah.
Yeah, I think I asked something like, would you rather be like chased by a tiger or a shark or something like that? I don't exactly remember. I do have like a list of curveball questions, but it's definitely like pretty fun. And like, if you're wondering why curveball questions are asked, they're really just like intended to see if you're able to think outside the box, right? Also, especially with a lot of like interviews or interviewees, it's how we gauge whether or not you were trying to like, I guess like fabricate your answers, like plan well ahead of time on what your answers will be. So yeah, and also there's no like specific time that they're asked. The chair or the interviewer can ask that like at any time they want, whether it be in the very beginning, halfway through, or at the end.
Okay. I mean, I'll say one thing. I think what I also look for is like passion and what ideas you have for the position. Definitely also like, as everyone else was saying, like making sure that you're educated on the position, but also, especially since this year with the whole COVID-19 thing, that might be something you should be like prepared for. Chairs would probably look for more like innovation, and like seeing if you're like adaptable to like, you know, new changes, especially maybe for like the closer district events like CKI South, North, or FTC. Yeah, so making sure that you know, like you're aware of like what's going on right now.
So I'll just bring in another question. Let's say that I'm a first year, or this is my first year in Circle K, or even I haven't really expanded outside of the club level. Should I apply for a district committee? And like, what if I'm underqualified? And I'll type that in the chat so we remember what the question was.
I can answer that. So I had 2 incoming second years, not 2, I had 3. I had 3 of the 7 people that I appointed on CNF, they were second years. So when they applied, they were first years. And I honestly agree when Olive earlier said about passion. If you have drive and you have ambition to learn and you're motivated to gain new skills and really put as much effort as possible into the position, you still have a really good chance, even versus other people who do have experience. So I mentioned earlier, my 2 graphic designers had zero experience whatsoever when it came to graphic design. And they were also both incoming second years. And so I didn't let that affect my decision. I was more focused on like, okay, yes, they are inexperienced, but they have a lot of passion, a lot of drive, and a lot of motivation to work on their skills and to really learn this position. And I feel like sometimes that will like overcome any like non-experience that you have.
Yeah, so going off of that, I was actually like, I got appointed onto FTC committee as backdrops decoration chair, and I also was not like on the club level as an officer or anything, but I did have like prior experience in like Kiwanis as like doing the decon backdrop, and also like, you know, just like being a graphic design major, like doing the other arts and crafts. So I think they also look for, you know, not just like club level, like, you know, if you're applying as a graphic designer to CNM, if you've done graphics like before in like another club, or just like on your own, like I think that also helps, because that's also more like, I think they would probably ask you to send in like supplements for that. And also like a big thing we're also looking for is growth, because you could be like a workshop chair and you're applying for workshop chair again. So definitely we think about also like, you know, giving other people a chance, someone who hasn't really done it before. So yeah.
For me also on that, going into my sophomore year, I got onto A board and also got onto District CNM as one of the external relations chairs. And so those were my first official leadership positions in the Kiwanis family as a whole, because I wasn't in Kiwanis or Key Club. For my CNM position especially, one big thing about it was writing press releases, and that was something I definitely was learning on the job. So from that, there's definitely a lot of being able to show that you can learn on the job and be able to work efficiently to fulfill your position, even though you're going to be learning at the same time. And that also applied to my position on Econ as AV Tech, even though I already had technology experience previously, because, for example, making a website, there's a lot more that goes into making a website from scratch, and including a lot more specific stuff. So that's why I just, you know, take the effort to do your research and learn things, even if that means on a position, and just show that you're passionate about what you're trying to learn in your position.
Does anyone have any questions or like want us to expand on a certain committee more? Or any like committees that you're interested in and you want to know more about?
This also includes committees that aren't represented. Even if the chair or the past chair isn't here, we could probably answer it to the best of our abilities.
Hello, is there anything in particular that you want to know about KFF or just like in general? Okay, so for KFF committee, what I did during my term is I had a representative in each division, because we have this thing called Kiwanis Family Report Form, where we try to individualize questions to each club, because with Kiwanis relations, like each club is in like a different point of their relationships with their Kiwanis family branches. So in this committee, you're like definitely going to be a lot closer with working with the Kiwanis family chairs and representatives, because during my term, well, this is like during my term, but like we definitely wanted to do more to get resources out there. And in particular, like we also wanted to elaborate that we ourselves are also a resource for you guys as well. And this goes for all the committees, like everyone's really friendly. Everyone, like people were mentioning, we like pick people who are really passionate about like Circle K, about the committee itself, and for me, like about Kiwanis family. So like everyone and like in all the committees are like really open to like questions and being open to people. In terms of like what we do, like we've most recently like updated our Kiwanis family map. So if you don't know what that is and you want to work together with the other branches, we created a map that shows like where each of the different branches are all over California, Nevada, and Hawaii. So there's like plenty of resources out there. So like if, I think what next term might do is probably like try to get the resources more out there and available, because we do have a lot of good resources to like getting more in touch with Kiwanis family. And I'm really hoping that they continue the event that we did this year, where we worked with Key Club and Kiwanis to create like an event to raise money for the Kiwanis family house. So you'll also have the opportunity to work with different branches as well as like the Kiwanis family representatives and Kiwanis family chairs.
So there's another question of like, what is CB&R and MD&E? And like, would you only be chartering clubs in CB&R? This is ultimately up to the chair's discretion. Every chair that applies, especially when it comes to applying, they do have their own set of priorities. So, whether or not this upcoming chair wants to prioritize revitalization, then that may be the case. At the same time, the position does include building. So they may be assisting clubs with chartering. But if you're talking more specifically about like CB&R, from my understanding, there's a lot of like collaboration with LTGs, since some LTGs might not have experience whatsoever with like chartering clubs. So having like, the resource in CB&R definitely does help with that.
To add on to that, setting the differences between CB&R and MD&E, CB&R was actually under MD&E as one of the positions previously, before it was made its own committee, and now Joshua Nepomuceno took over. That's because CB&R specifically garnered towards, as you mentioned, chartering clubs and also helping clubs that are in need of diary assistance, especially when they first start out after the charting process, because the charting process and starting up from there is very lengthy and is very complex. Such that CB&R has to provide definitely quite a different array of resources for that. And then for MD&E, it's definitely a lot more just general stuff that also applies to clubs in CB&R, just like retention, recruitment, but also doing like actual normal MD&E chair things that would happen at the club level, just at a district level, like the pen pal system that I mentioned, and alumni mentorship.
So there's another question specifically asking about past committees, whether or not KFF worked with action clubs a lot.
I was typing my answer in the chat, but the committee itself and the past committees itself don't usually work directly with the different branches. What we do is we provide resources and then talk to the clubs individually about working with the different branches. So we have clubs inquire with us with working with action clubs. So usually we'll help them find an action club that's near them using the map or directing them to the map, and then giving them ideas of what kind of events that they can host with action club. Like, for example, one club had a charity gala and then a fashion show with action club. But like I mentioned earlier, this past term was the first time where we actually worked with different branches to create an event.
Okay, so the last question that we got from someone who, just like earlier, was unable to type in the chat. What projects did Tech Committee work on, and what do you think will be continued?
So yeah, the Technology Committee, the current projects that were worked on in this past term included the mobile app that was released for FTC named Solstice. And we also continued a project from 2 years ago. Doesn't have an official name yet, but it's an MRF portal that's aimed at streamlining the MRF and data reporting process and moving away from Excel sheets into a more user-friendly interface. The Technology Committee also helps with DCON, FTC, other district events for making the event websites. Although technology chairs in FTC and DCON largely made their own without the help. Yeah, those two will definitely be continuing, the MRF portal and the mobile app, but it's up to the chair and whether there's enough resources and manpower to start up anything new. There's definitely a lot of interesting ideas that could be started, and if you have any of your own, then putting that in the app and discussing it will also be super helpful. If you have something that you want to start for the district.
Okay, so that was our last question. So a very super quick, I guess, final remark is definitely don't be deterred for applying for district committees. You'll definitely learn something out of it, whether it be professional or personal. And it also will definitely help you see a lot more to what the district has to provide. Okay, so next, if you guys have any additional questions for any of us that you want to ask, here is our contact information. So I'm going to leave it on this page for a bit, just in case you need to take a picture, you want to write it down, or yeah. And then also in the chat mentioned, we do have a district Discord. I think it was posted on the Facebook page. So yeah, there's that as well. Okay, I'm gonna leave this page on just a tad bit longer in case anyone is trying to get it.
If anything, y'all can find us on Facebook and message us through Messenger. That works too. We'll probably reply faster.
Yeah, as well as when the district chairs get appointed, they'll also be holding office hours when they release their apps.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next tab, which is the sign-in link. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Definitely please do not forget to sign in. That way we can record your attendance and send them to your clubs. And yeah, just like it's been mentioned, if you guys have questions, you can reach out to the emails that was listed on the previous tab or reach out to us privately via Messenger and so on.
Apply for FTC.
Apply for decon.
Apply for CNM.
There's a lot of questions for KFF, so KFF
Apply for Eleanor.
Yeah, so
MR.
Or
Apply for tech.